Okay, Elia. How do we say that properly? 1/10. What does that look like as a decimal? 0.1. Good job. Next one, 8/25. 8/25. Mason, what's wrong with that fraction right now? If I'm trying to get it to a decimal, why can't I do it yet? What does the denominator have to be? You just wrote it on the other page.
Oh, it has to be 2,100 or 1,000.
It has to be 10, 100, or 1,000, and 25 is not any of those three. Clara, what can I easily multiply by to make that a better denominator? 4, because if I multiply by 4, what's my denominator going to be? 100. So again, we focus on our denominator first. We get it to 10, 100, 1,000, and then we just have to create an equivalent fraction by doing the same thing on top. Augie, what's 8 times 4?
32.
32. Addie B, how do I say that fraction properly? 32 hundredths. Lexi, how do I write 32 hundredths as a decimal? 0.32. Good job. Okay, I want you to take a minute and try 9 through 14. Try 9 through 14. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to give you a few minutes. Do 9 through 14. Okay, who thinks they can help me with number 9? Who thinks they can walk me through what I need to do? Lexi, go ahead.
You can't do how it is.
Okay, because why? Why can't I do it as is?
Because it needs to be a 10, 100, 1,000.
Okay, because my denominator needs to be a 10, 100, or 1,000. Okay, keep going.
You have to do times 4.
Yeah, and again, guys, if you think money, anytime you see 25s, think quarters. Most of you guys are pretty good at counting quarters. If we're trying to get to $1 or 100 cents, she is correct. We have to do times 4. Now, this is one where most people had to go out to the side and do some scratch work. Lexi, what did you get when you took 14 times 4? 56. And then what is that as a decimal? 0.56. Good job. And regardless of which form it's in, we say 56 hundredths. And McKay, help us with the next one. So I'm going to say think money. What do you need 4 of to get $1? Quarters. How much is each quarter worth? 25. See how it's the same thought process the last time, it's just backwards. So what do we have to multiply by, Emma? Times 25 times 25. So that'd be 25 over 100. Carter, what is that as a decimal? 0.25. Good job. Addie J, help me with the next one. Why is it not good as is? Yeah, it's not 10, 100, or 1,000. Why can't I divide by 2 to get it to 10? Because 7's not an even number, so that wouldn't give me a whole number. So what did you do? Yeah, times 5 would get us to 100. So we would get 35 over 100. And what is that as a decimal? Good job, 0.35 or 35 hundredths. Gabe, next one. Help me out. Okay. Okay, 25 is not 10, 100, or 1,000, so I have some work to do.
So you could do
Times 4. Times 4. So that would give us 4 over 100. And what is that as a decimal, Gabe?
0.04.
Good job, 0.04, because I need a 4 in the hundredths place. Elia, you want to help me with the next one?
So 9 tenths, but then we have to go to 0.5.
Yeah, so that one we like because we don't have to do any work. We don't have to make an equivalent fraction because it already has a denominator of 10. Mason, help me on the next one. 9 over 25, is it good as is or do I need to change it?
You just times 4.
Yeah, I have to do times 4, so I'm going to write 9 over 25 times 4 times 4. So we'd get 36 over 100. What is that as a decimal, Mason?
0.36.
0.36. Good job. Now, the bottom ones, it says it's algebra. Algebra just means they're putting in a letter in place of something we do not know. Okay? So when you're trying to solve something you don't know, I always say focus on what you do know. So we're going to work this one kind of backwards. Who can say that number properly? Braylon? 65 hundredths. How could I write that as a fraction?
You write 65 over 100.
Yeah, so that decimal is 65 over 100. But it's telling me if my denominator is 20, it wants to know what that top number would be. What is it asking me to do here? And it's kind of confusing. Bryson? Okay, it could be multiplication or division. I'm creating an equivalent fraction. It gives me one full fraction and it gives me a piece of the other one. So I have to figure out, how do we get from 100 to 20, Fisher?
Times 5.
100 times 5 is 20? Divided by 5. I want you to show it like this. Show a little loop to show from here to here, we divide by 5. So we're kind of creating an equivalent fraction like we did above. So what do you think I have to do on the top? Divide by 5. Does anybody know 65 divided by 5 off the top of your head? Okay, it is 13. If you don't know that, what might you have to do? Some scratch work out the side. Do we know how to do long division? Yeah, so what is my answer? What is it asking for? Elise? Yeah, just asking for the numerator that goes over 20, and my numerator is just 13. So again, we're kind of working these backwards. So let's number 16. Look at the decimal. How do I write that decimal as a fraction, Aiden? 0.7 as a fraction is what? 7/10. And this one is showing me 7 over what number? Why is this one an easy one? Hutley?
Because it's already a 10
Yeah. How do we get from 7 to 7?
times 1.
Times 1. What's 10 times 1?
10.
10. So yeah, this one was already where I needed to be, so I know my W is 10. That one just kind of pushes over. Try the next one. Start with what we do know. We know that that decimal as a fraction is what? Kinley, what is that decimal as a fraction? 1800. So we have 18 over 100. But I'm trying to get the denominator to be a 50, and I need to know what that number would be. Who thinks they know? How do we get from 100 to 50? Hutley?
You do divided by 2.
Good job. Divided by 2. So if I divide by 2 on the bottom, what do I have to do on the top?
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2. And again, these are the challenge ones, but I hope that you understand where these numbers are coming from. What's 18 divided by 2? Fisher? 9. So the value of n that they are looking for is 9. Now I have one more example I want to show you. We're going to stay on this page. Let me look at the next page, see where we have space. Actually, let's go to the bottom of the next page. We're going to go down under number 22. Okay, I'm going to go down here under number 22 because you guys have quite a bit of space. I want you to mark off the question that it's asking. And I want you to write 1/8 equals blank. And in parentheses, I want you to write decimal. Meaning it's like the problems we were just doing. It's wanting us to write the fraction 1/8 as a decimal. Why does our method that we know now not really work? If I told you to get 8 to 10, why is that challenging? Braylon? There's not a whole number that we could multiply by to get 10. Okay, and let's go our multiples of 8. What's 8 times 10? 80. What's 8 times 11? 88. 8 times 12? 96. Now, we probably don't know 8 times 13 in the top of our head, but let's do 96 plus 8. 104. Okay, so we hop right over 100. So 8 times 12 is just under 100. 8 times 13 is just over 100. So to get to 100, it would be a decimal number between 12 and 13. So we have to have a third option. So option 1 is it's already a 10, a 100, or 1,000. Those are the ones that make us happy and make our life easy. Option 2 is a number that I can easily get to 10, 100, or 1,000. Those are like the ones we just did on the previous page. This is option 3. You can change any fraction into a decimal. Any one. Anybody think they know how? We've done it. When we do PBIS points, we do it. Kinley?
Make it
10/80th still doesn't help us because I need the denominator to be a 10, a 100, or 1,000 if I want to do it the easy way. Fisher? No. What kind of math problem is a fraction? What math problem is that telling me to do? Elise? Division. What division problem is that telling me to do? 1 divided by 8. Let's write this out. That is saying take 1 and divide it by 8. If we set that up using long division, and this is where I've been trying to retrain your brains, because before you guys would say you can't do that, and I would say you can't do it in 4th grade, but I teach you how to do it in 5th grade. If we set that up using long division, I'm going to just set up the box under here. We're not going to work it. We'll work it out to the side. What would go inside the box? What would go on the outside? Aiden?
Inside would be the 1, outside would be the 8.
The 1 goes on the inside, the 8 goes in the outside. Why do we not like that? Why do we not like that, Clara? Why does our brain not like that? Because 8 is bigger than 1. Let's go out here to the side. 8 is larger than 1. We all agree with that. But we are trying to get a decimal number. So if we take 1 whole cookie and divide it into 8 equal parts, will 8 people get part of a cookie? Yeah. But will they get more than 1 whole cookie? No, so that just means when we divide this out, we will get a number that's between 0 and 1. You will get more than nothing, but you will not get 1 whole cookie. But we need to add some more digits. So who can change that 1 to where I have more digits, but I'm not changing the value? I still just have 1. Carter? Okay, now watch this. If I just add zeros, I have 1, now I have 10. So I'm changing the value. I have to add something else in addition to the zeros. A decimal point. Good job. If I add a decimal point, can I add as many zeros as I need? And does it still just have a value of 1? Okay, so we just add 1 to start. Now when we're dividing decimals, this is new. It's pretty easy. If you add a decimal point in the problem, you just move it straight up into the answer. That's the only difference. And you do long division as normal. How many times does 8 go into 1? It doesn't. How many times does 8 go into 10? 1. But since I'm going into 10, I'm going to put the 1 above that 0. Then we do our long division like normal. What is 8 times 1? 8. I'm going to subtract. I get 2. You cannot mix decimals and fractions. So I can't give 0.1 remainder 2 or 0.1 and 2/8. I have to keep adding zeros until I get to a stopping point. How many zeros can I add back here? As many as I need. So I have a remainder still, so I'm going to add another 0 and drop it. Then I just keep working. How many times does 8 go into 20? Twice. What is 2 times 8? 16. I subtract, I get 4. Now what? Addie? I drop another 0. How many zeros can we add? As many as we need. So I'm going to add another 0 and drop it. How many times does 8 go into 40? 5. Ooh, we finally got to an end point. So now, what is 1/8 as a decimal? Hutley? 0.125. If you got 1 out of 8 on an assignment, would you think that's a good score? No. What would your percentage be? Who thinks they know this one? Elise? 12.5%. Yeah, between 12 and 13%. Okay? So this kind doesn't show up a lot right now, but that's the option that always works. So if your denominator is not pretty and you can't easily get it to 8, 100, or 1,000, you can always do long division and divide it out. That works every single time. That's just the one we don't like because it requires us to do the most work. Okay, questions on that? I think there might be one on your homework that you'll have to do long division. The rest of them should be pretty. Okay? So your homework is page 599 and page 600, and I want you to try all of them. Okay, 599 and 600. I'm not going to mark any of them off. Make sense? Okay, and then weekly worksheet is due Friday, and I already see several of them up here in the tray. Okay, several people already have that done. And you guys have about 8 minutes to get started on your homework.